Ladies and gentlemen, I talk to you right now simply as an advocate for humanity, with no allegiance to any community, any country, any continent. I am only talking to you because it's important that we understand what is wrong with us human beings. I've often told you that I've examined the world, I've examined humanity, and I've found that the greatest malfunction is coming from Africa. It is not just what others have done to Africa, but what others have done to themselves. Now, the biggest warning I have to give right here, right now, is that anybody who comes up with any excuses in terms of, oh, you didn't know the force by which Africans were subdued, or you don't know any excuse at all, okay, presents whoever is giving that excuse as a huge part of the problem. Why do I say that? In fact, I remember that there was a particular interview done with the civil rights movement leader, Martin Luther King Jr., where he was asked a question regarding why it is that colonialism took place in many places, but it seems that people from Africa, I don't deal with anything black, human beings are not black. So he was asked why people from Africa have suffered the most or remain in bondage. And he said that people from Africa were the only ones who came to United States in chains. Now, that is very serious stuff, and we need to understand why very quickly. I need everybody to know, and it's important we point at the errors from all sides, because in this world I have learned, if not for anything, I've learned that wherever there is error, you must identify it. Otherwise, you will never make any corrections. Rather, you will continue to make the same error over and over and over again. A lot of evil was committed against Africa and Africans. However, nobody should ignore what Africans did to themselves. Let's go back to that colonialism and colonial days. I want people to know that why you did not see people from China in chains, why you did not see people from India in chains, because they all were colonized, was because they were not prepared to sell their own. This is a fact. When you hear slave trade simply means that there were sellers and there were buyers. I want you to know today that as it is happening today, the same thing was happening then. Don't be under any illusion that slave trade is still going on right now. And I will tell you so you know. It is usually Africans who are willing to sell their own. You want to know that before those sheep or whatever canoe or whatever were being used, and before they pulled up to the shores, okay, your own people have already put your own brothers and sisters in chain, ready to sell them. Somebody was being paid to put you and I, humanity, in chains. Somebody, the same color as you. You want to know this. Chinese were not prepared to do that to their own selves. Indians were not prepared to do that for their own self. Don't forget that Britain colonized America anyway. People who love themselves would not do that against their own. As I speak right now, the same thing is happening. Do you have a sister in Africa? Do you have a brother in Africa who is running around looking for young girls, young boys to sell the idea of traveling abroad through the Mediterranean Sea? Forget about what your so-called head of governments are doing, because they are still trading you as we speak. A majority of the so-called African leaders are busy selling off their own people and selling off their own lands. So you want to know that it is happening as I speak. Okay? But it's not just your so called leaders, it's your brother and your sister somewhere who is willing to be running around looking for young men, young women who are prepared to go to Europe through the Mediterranean Sea, those that are running around preparing passports and giving tickets or whatever else, collecting money and getting people to sail through the sea. A lot of them have died there. Okay? It is still your own going around putting you in chains. This is something Africans must capture. I've written it before and I've said, look, yes, there is no history of Africans maltreating Europeans. But why there is no such history is because Africans have never ever developed their own concepts. They've never developed their own ideas. They've never developed their own unique products. They've never thought about developing, they do not know that every continent, every individual, every community has a unique, very unique product within them. Because Africans have failed to develop their own ideologies, their own theories, their own concepts, their own products. They have literally fixated themselves with the idea of buying and selling. They have fixated themselves with the ideology of consumerism. So they are literally looking for who would consume the most. So they are prepared to sell their brothers and sisters. That is why economically Africa is very weak. We have to be honest about these things. There should be no ifs and buts about it. And I've warned before and I'm warning again. Anybody who is providing excuses about this evil that Africans are doing to themselves is part of the problem. It doesn't matter the color of their skin, because it is still Africans who will come to defend what Africans have done to themselves. Some of these Africans are paid. Some of these Africans are still trading off their own because they don't want Africans to realize what they are doing wrong. Now, if you don't realize what you're doing wrong, how are you ever going to correct it? If you don't understand how you have become part of the problem you're experiencing, how are you ever going to correct it? That's a huge question. The answer of which is essential if Africa can remedy the situation they are in. Obviously, the buyer is as bad as the seller, okay? But faced with the same temptation, Africans are willing to yield more than any other continent. Faced with the same temptation of, we want to buy your people. Here is the money, okay? Obviously, human beings are not for sale. It is evil for anybody to go to buy a human being. That is evil in itself. But it's also even more evil for one to be willing to sell their brothers and their sisters, to sell their own. So, what I'm trying to make clear today is that Africa must wake up and realize this evil going on even as I speak right now. Those Fulanese in Imo State right now are in there because there are Imo citizens who have authorized it. There are no two ways about it. Those Fulanese in the Biafra land, in the eastern part of that contraption, I can't even mention the name because the name is vile as far as I am concerned. It's vile because it's the height of fraud on humanity. So I can't mention the name, okay? Those Fulanese there are there today because there are people in that region who are willing to sell their own. Okay? Whatever is going on in that whole geographical location, that contraption, is going on because there are leaders, in quote, who are willing to sell their own. That is why you have that system as it is. Okay? And until we begin to understand these things, until we begin to pay attention to these things, because I can bet my life on the fact that slave trade is still going on as I speak. And it is being carried out by Africans. Africans are fully involved. Africans are fully involved because if you don't have a seller, there will never be a buyer. It's just a simple market rules. It's a simple market rules. Where you do not have a seller, there would never be a buyer. It's as simple as that. So I want Africans to wake up to this reality. And I want all the people who are presenting themselves as buyers to also understand that whatever you do to one to disadvantage them, in the end you have disadvantaged all, because humanity is one engine, one entity with different unique parts that should all function effectively. If you disrupt, if you disadvantage, if you weaken, if you destroy any part of this engine, any part of this entity, you have weakened the whole, the rest. The evil you commit to one is the evil you commit to all, because when one loses its efficacy, the overall efficacy of the all automatically become weakened. These are simple facts about humanity that everybody must capture. Before I close, I think it's important that every individual begins to wake themselves up to the fact that neither your ancestors or your parents came into this world with anything, and so are you and me. Nobody came into this world with anything. All of us came through the womb of a woman, and all of us came in totally empty-handed. Okay? It is important we understand that everything we met here on earth, through which we begin to develop things like money or whatever else we develop, cars, mobile phones, and whatever else we develop, because everything we develop comes from the things we met here, because your ancestors did not come in with anything. Your parents did not come in with anything. You did not come in with anything. I myself did not come in with anything. So I want you to know that everything we met on this earth, through which we are able to develop other things, okay? We are all placed here for our use, for the use of humanity and for the service of humanity. I need people to understand that it is evil, it is criminal, it is mental illness for anybody to place anything that we met on this earth or anything we manufactured through what we met on this earth, including money or whatever else, above a human being. Because the whole essence of the things we met here is to service humanity. Any attempt by any individual, community, country, continent, to place any of these things, including money, because money is made out of what we met here. Any attempt to do that, to place anything, including natural resources, through which we make all the things we make, yeah? Any attempt to place these things above a human being amounts to idolatrous act, because you are going to worship that thing you have placed above a human being. So today, if you're killing because of land that you met here, land that is given to us for our use, for our temporary use. If you're placing land above a human being, that means you're prepared to kill somebody because of land, a land that you yourself will be buried in. Yeah? It means that that land has become important, more important to you as a human being than your fellow human being. And that is adultery, because you are worshiping the land. If you are able to bribe or be bribed to kill your fellow human being, that means you have placed money above a human being. That is an adulterous act. Okay? That means you're worshiping the money. The money that is made from natural resources that are all given to us here for our use and for our service. Whenever you do any of these things, you are committing evil against yourself, not just against the person you're killing or you are committing evil against. You're committing evil against yourself. You are in the territory where I can assure you, whether you have conscience or not, there is a reason why human beings have conscience, and that reason is that conscience simply means consequences. And I want you to know it. If you don't want to know it, let me tell you and remind you of one thing. You know, all these natural resources we use to print money, to make books, to make everything we see. You know all these natural resources, yeah? Apes and the rest of the animals saw all these things. I want you to know that. All these things we are using to develop whatever we are developing, money and apes, monkeys, okay? Dogs, cats, lions, elephants. They all saw all these things, including seeds. You know the seeds we plant? You know we didn't come with any of them. I want you to know today that animals saw all these things you and I are turning into products. But I think you need to know that there is a divine reason why only you and I understand the meaning of a seed when we see a seed and what can come out of the seed. But animals don't know. They will never know. And that is why only us and nature will continue to reproduce the food animals eat. They don't have such capacity. There is a reason for that. Can I give you another secret? Let me tell you something. Oh, there is so much to tell you, but let me give you another secret very quickly. There is a divine reason also why it is only human beings that would have to go into debate to find out why, or to work out why we bear the colors we bear, which are not white, which are neither white nor black. I need you to just ask yourself that question. Why is it that when you go to Europe, you meet Caucasians, those with either yellowish or pinkish color, because those are the colors that are more in tune with the color we see. Okay? If you go to Africa, you see more people wearing brown look. Obviously not totally black, because no human being is totally black. If you saw a totally black person, very black, yeah? That means longer black, okay? Black, yeah? That means when you bring that person and merge them with this, they will become black, yeah? You have seen a ghost. The same way, if you saw a white person, okay, you have seen a ghost, okay? Now, the thing you have to ask yourself is, why is it that when you go to Europe, you see people who are pinkish or yellowish in color, but when you go to Africa, you see people who are brownish in color, like me. But then, when you look at animals, okay, where the color black and white are obvious, you look at dogs, you look at cats, you look at horses, the color black and the color white are obvious. But you know what? When you go to Europe, you will see black and white horses. You go to Africa, you will see black and white goats, black and white. So it doesn't matter where you go, you will see these animals with these colors. That is something you need to think about. We have gone around and we have come to the conclusion and we've come to the knowledge that human beings are the only evolving creatives. We are not animals. Human beings are the only evolving creatives. And we evolve as we create and create as we evolve. We are the only ones capable of moving from caves to skyscrapers, moving from the analog to digital, and moving from bicycle to skyscrapers, or bicycle to supersonic. We are the only ones, and we will keep moving. Animals cannot do it. That's why the same way you see a bird's nest yesterday, you will see it today, you will see it forever. They can't put any new designs to it because they operate within the confines of nature. And any animal that goes out of the confines of nature, it simply means that a human being had interfered. Okay? Any animal that goes outside the remits of nature simply means a human being had interfered. Have you also asked yourself why it is that only human beings experiment to find out what they can eat and what they cannot eat, what they can drink and what they cannot drink? Only human beings depend on experiment already carried out. That means we drink what we see our parents drink and eat what we see other people eating in order to feel safe. We cannot see a leaf and a strange leaf and automatically know whether we can consume it or not. Have you asked yourself that? That we are the ones that can carry out experiments. But you know what? Every animal knows what to eat and what not to eat. From birth, they know what they should eat and what they should not eat. They just need to sniff at it and they know whether it is consumable or not. And they stick with it forever. They stick with what they eat forever. They have no capacity to change diet. If you don't know it today, they can only change diet if human beings had interfered. These are little things I just want you to grasp. So let us learn more about humanity. I want to introduce new concepts that will advance our academic systems. Our academic systems are outdated. They are propelled by people who have eyes but they couldn't see, who have ears but they couldn't hear. We need to advance the academic system so that humanity can come to life. We need to advance it. We need to open it up for growth. Majority of the concepts, ideologies, and theories that surround the academic system were borrowed from the animal kingdom because your ancestors, my ancestors, your parents, my parents got it all wrong when they thought that human beings were part of the animal kingdom. No, we are not. We are human beings. We work in conjunction with nature to provide for animals. We are caretakers. We work in conjunction. Each of us has got a unique talent that is vital to all. Until we begin to understand these things, we can't change. So Africans, I need you to wake up right now. I need you to begin to not only discover, but harness, develop, maximize your, and I mean it, your unique ideas and or products, because that is the only thing that will stop you from selling one another and from committing evil against one another. Because by the time you realize the potentials you carry, which are unique to you, then you will realize the potential of your brother and your sister, which are also unique to them. Then you will understand the importance of exchange and cross-fertilization of ideas. You will understand that when you lose one, you've almost lost all. And you need to work together because humanity is a vehicle which operates within the confines of complement, cooperation, and collaboration in partnership with one another because of the uniqueness of each. That is what being human is all about. That means whenever you lose one, just like you have in the engine, any part you take out simply reduces something in the engine, simply weakens the engine. That is just how it is. For an engine to be in perfect order, each part must yield its unique essence, its unique components, its unique ability. Each must contribute their unique essence for an engine to be at its best. That engine is humanity. Every individual, every community, every country, and every continent must bring in their unique essence for us to see the world and humanity as it ought to be. Hence, we are asking our Creator God Almighty, and we are in saying our Lord's Prayer, we always come up with that line that says, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. When we activate all, we'll begin to see all those things that are being done in heaven, being done here on earth. And all this nonsense will stop. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all very much. And I remain Prince Ezem Ihenacho, advocate for humanity. I thank you.